We are back. Lucid Perspective. It is Tuesday, March 19, 2024. Back with another daily video. News clips, articles, inspiration, motivation, is just content. This one is going to be maybe slight frustrating. It was for me. So I'm going to set it up real quick and then we're going to jump right in. CANDACE Owens versus Rabbi Barclay. This rabbi put out a hit piece on CANDACE Owens. Apparently there was a lot of libel, defamation or whatever, a lot of lies according to CANDACE Owens. She reached out, said, hey, you putting out bullshit, let's talk about it. And he got on the show and they had a conversation. Now, I didn't watch the whole thing. I knew that it was happening. I know it was mostly about supposedly Candace being anti-Semitic. She was going to defend herself from that, and the rabbi was pretty much claiming that that's what she is. And so they got into it. And of course, a lot of people have different viewpoints on Candace Owens. I think she's making a lot of sense recently, like within the past year or so. You know, Candace Owens is obviously a very, depending how you feel, where you are, a very controversial figure, right? But she's been making a lot of sense to me personally over the past year or so. This particular clip, right, is this rabbi. You know what? I'm not even going to say anything. It's just frustrating to see a grown man. I'm going to play the fucking video. Let's play the video, and I'm going to do commentary in between. You'll get the gist of what's happening for the most part. So here we go.
Do you believe October 7th was uniquely evil and on a whole other level than anything going on, especially anything going on in Gaza or anything else right now? From the moral, ethical, your point of view as a Christian, I am asking you point blank, do you feel that October 7th, what happened, is uniquely at a whole other level and depth of evil? Yes or no?
I believe that what happened on October 7th is evil. We've seen.
Do you believe it is a whole other level than anything else, especially what is going on in Gaza?
All right, so I got to stop there. Now you're going to see, you heard the question. You heard her answer. He asked, was what happened on October 7th uniquely evil than anything that's happened in Gaza since? She said what happened on October 7th was evil, right? She's not, to me, it sounds like a pretty straightforward answer. But he's not satisfied, as you're going to see clearly. He has an agenda. I feel like he was set up. He has one agenda. He's looking for that sound bite. He wants that gotcha moment. Or he was dared to do this, or not dared, but like that is his mission. Whoever, his organization, whoever he's with, they said, if you go talk to her, your main objective is going to be to get sound bites and to get her to say specifically certain things. Now, just from the phrasing of the question, if you don't see where he stands and where his mindset is, right? He's already on the side of his bias is insane, obviously, and he's already setting it up to where what's been happening in Gaza since that day, on a scale of atrocities or on some type of scale of what's worse, for him in his mind, October 7th is uniquely more evil than anything happened in Gaza since, right? He set it up. That's how those are the words out of his mouth. The question is one of those, it's one of those loaded questions that they ask you where they try to steer you into a certain direction. It's almost like a court case. He's like a lawyer. He's trying to get you to say something. And so he's going to ask the question in a very specific way to hopefully get that answer from you. And we're not even a full minute in yet. Let's continue.
I think that there have been things that have happened historically, like the Holocaust, like what the Bolsheviks did to Christians, the Christian Holocaust, that I
You're not answering.
No, I'm trying to answer your question. I guess I would like you to explain to me, in your own context, Holocaust versus what happened on October 7th. Why is October 7th uniquely evil compared to the Holocaust? Maybe you can educate.
And in October 7th, there was, you don't know your history about the Holocaust then. In October 7th, the Holocaust was a machine that was made and cost Germany the war.
So you'd say October 7th?
October 7th was a specific intention. Remember that in the Holocaust, the first attacks are war attacks. It is all about a war effort on world domination. October 7th is about to torture and do such horrific things to civilians, to the weak, the innocent, the old. So I'm asking you a very simple question.
So he's gonna ask the question again, but you see what he said. He's framing October 7th, and rightly so, right? I'm not disagreeing with what he's saying as far as describing October 7th, right? But again, he has a very clear agenda. He's trying to draw a comparison. He's trying to draw some type of weighting system, and he's basically saying this thing that happened on this date is much more worse than anything that's happened in Gaza since. And that's his stance, that's his position, and he's trying to get Candace to hop on board.
I'm honestly, you asked it. I'm ready to answer it. I think it was evil, and if you feel it's uniquely, we've bombed a million Iraqi civilians. You're talking about just like if you're weighing against civilian costs. And again, I think how you said about when you read you watch the Passion of the Christ, and you have your eyes when you watch it, and I have my Christian eyes. Very difficult for me to say when the greatest Holocaust that ever happened was against Christians, and what the Bolsheviks did to us, drowning us in barges. I cannot discount the things that have happened to Christians. We are actually the most persecuted religion in the world, and it's never described as uniquely evil. And so what happened on October 7th is evil, full stop. What has happened in the past to Christians, what is happening currently to Christians in Armenia, it's evil. So your feeling that it's unique is probably, I want to recognize it, but I don't want to sit here and pretend that
make a simpler question then.
I minimize what I've been through. I mean, unique evils, slavery. I'm a black woman. I mean, there's tons of things that have happened, and I don't want to pretend that I think that when it happens to Jews, it's somehow more evil or more unique than when it happens to other groups all around the world.
I'm going to ask you a specific, simpler question. Do you believe there is a qualitative difference between what was done on October 7th and the horrible tragedies that are going on in Gaza, with children being used as human shields and dying and being killed, with all of that? There are tragedies going on in Gaza we both agree on. Do you believe that there is a radical difference between what happened October 7th and what is going on there, or do you believe that there is really not a moral
All right, so did you hear that? Did you hear? We got to call this out when you hear it, when it happens, because it's one of those things. They love doing this. These talking heads, they are not stupid people. These people online, on the news stations, talking heads on TV, they are very clever with their word choice. They are very clever with how they say things, how they portray things. He said what's happening in Palestine is children being used as human shields. Right? You're not taking any accountability or responsibility for the bombs that Israel is throwing over there, right? That's not an issue. That's not a factor. That's just justified for October 7th. That's their justification. But as far as Palestinian children being killed and murdered, that's them using them as shields. And it's when you hear these things, you gotta call it out. Usually Candace is about her shit and she calls motherfuckers out. I don't know what's happening here. It seems she might be taking it easy on him. I've watched some Candace interviews. She calls out bullshit in real time when she hears it. Usually, at least from what I've seen. I don't see the same thing happening here. There's still more interview to go. But you got to call this shit out when it occurs in real time. And she's not doing it, so I'm a little disappointed there. But again, these people are not stupid. How he framed that is a perfect. It shows his bias. It shows his inhumanity towards Palestinian people. He's obviously still fishing for a specific answer to this question. She's not providing it, and he's not satisfied. And his objective, again, get this question answered the way that he wants for a soundbite. Because I can guarantee you, the puppets behind him, his organization, whoever he works for, or whoever's a part of his clique, if they get him to get her to say certain things, they're going to chop those sound bites out, and they're going to take that and they're going to push it, and they're going to do a mass media promotion and pushing. Candace says October 7th was uniquely evil, thereby inferring that what's happening in Gaza is justified. And that's what they want. And these people are not stupid people, you know? Moving on.
And huge qualitative difference. It's one or
How
the
it's
other.
happening is different. How it's happening is different. There's no
You
question
believe
that it's
it's the
different.
same way? It's evil just the same way.
Children, innocent children dying. If the consequence of children is dying, of course, it is an evil thing for innocent children to be dying. And
Do you believe?
Fine
Okay,
answer.
so I want to make sure I'm hearing you. Okay, I don't want to misinterpret you. I'm asking for specific
it
answers.
is always
to
an
you.
evil, and I again say this as a Christian, it is always an evil when innocent children are killed. Always an evil.
So do you believe that October 7th is more evil than what's happening when the innocent children
I
are
didn't.
dying?
Pardon?
I'm asking you.
What?
I'm asking you the simple question. Do you believe there's a greater depth of evil in what happened October 7th than any of the tragedies that are happening in
Let
Gaza?
let me actually toss this back to you, because this is a great question.
not
I
a
think
yes
a lot
or
of no. This is a great question. I'm glad you asked this, but I want to toss this to you because one of the things that was also radically misinterpreted. Actually, I was talking about Brian Mast in his language when he said that there's no such thing as an innocent Palestinian life. I thought that was horrifically genocidal to say that. And that has been a huge conflict of whether or not what's happening is genocidal or if it's not genocidal. And something that I don't think that we have a clear definition on is genocide. And this is, obviously the word was created post-Holocaust. And so I would just like to get from you, because we're running, because we are running out of time.
So I'm not trying to, I don't use the word.
You don't use the word genocide?
Nope.
So you wouldn't describe the Holocaust as a genocide?
I would describe it in other ways. It's just not the language I use. So.
Okay, so time to call this bullshit out. He knows what the word genocide means. Everybody knows what the word genocide means. And he could tell she's foreshadowing a question. She's foreshadowing an angle. He knows where she's about to go. And although he says he's not ducking the question, or he's not trying to duck, he very much is. So his way out is to claim that he doesn't use the word genocide in his language, in his vocabulary. And what really is that supposed to fucking mean anyway? You don't have to use a word in your vocabulary to know what the definition is. And I guarantee you ask any Jewish person, any rabbi who is not on that screen, what the word genocide means. Not only will they have a definition, they will apply it correctly so to the Holocaust and what was happening in the Holocaust. But in this circumstance, speaking with CANDACE Owens, in the context of what this conversation is, he doesn't use the word genocide. He can't define it. He wouldn't describe the Holocaust as a genocide. Why? Because it's very convenient, because we know where she's about to go, or where she was going to try to go, which was describe what's happening in Palestine as a genocide. And he can't allow that. He can't allow any type of compassionate language to come out in support or in defense of Palestine, which is also why he claimed the dead Palestinian children are just being used as human shields. They're not children, they're human shields. And he's blaming Hamas, I guess, and the innocent civilian adults who are also dying with these kids as using their own children as human shields, apparently. But here we are, a grown-ass man. He got gray hair. He's at least 50, 55, 60. He's been on this earth for several decades. He's a rabbi, so he has some type of accolades in his religion. He's an intelligent man, and he doesn't use the word genocide, so we can't bring it into the discussion because it doesn't suit where he's trying to go, and it doesn't suit the question he's still trying to get answered by Candace.
For me to say that this is a definition would be arrogant and inappropriate, because
but what percentage of a certain group of people have to die that would constitute a genocide? Because I think that's part of it. It's a back forth where it's like, listen, if we can just say X amount of people, percentage of people dying of the same ethnic group.
Candace, you don't, I'm telling you point blank.
Here it is.
You're asking me to define a term that I don't go around utilizing.
What does that mean?
Okay.
So I don't, you're saying define this. And what I'm saying is I don't use that term.
What? That doesn't mean anything. I know plenty of definitions of terms that I don't use. That is that is such a teenage defense mechanism. That's something that a child, your teenage child who wants to go out with his friends or his or her friends on a Friday night and stay out late. This sounds like arguments that they would make. And Candace, I don't know, Candace kind of disappointed me because she usually will call a motherfucker out on that. She would. So I don't know what's happening. I would have said, sir, respectfully, whether you use the word genocide or not, you know what the textbook definition is. You know what the fuck Oxford defines it as. So let's please not play dumb. He's an intelligent man, but this playing dumb. He pulled this dumb card and it makes him look really silly.
I am asking you a very simple question.
Here we go back
you
to
have
this.
avoided a yes or no on.
I haven't avoided a yes or no on anything. I've been answering you this entire time. I am just saying that if the consequence for me, I cannot, like, what happened on October 7th to me was so horrific and was so evil. And the reason why I believed it was so horrific and so evil was there was no military target. You were just targeting civilians, and civilians are innocent, right?
Facts.
And so for you to then tell me, is it more or less evil when now innocent civilians, what is the number at? Can you tell me what the number is at of Palestinian children?
No, I can't, because Hamas stories aren't.
I know, but I'm asking you. I'm not asking Hamas. I'm asking you.
Candace, I'm asking.
So when you're asking me to compare, and what you're actually asking me to do is to compare, is to state whether.
So when she asked the death count, I guess, of Palestinian people, his immediate knee-jerk reaction was he don't know because of Hamas stories. Well, I don't even know what that means, Hamas. So instead of death reports or destruction reports, they are whatever news is coming out of Palestine is Hamas stories.
Or not,
no, I know. I'm going to make easier than that. Okay?
Please let me finish this. I feel that question, okay, is you trying to make a statement
Let me try to get the question, okay? I believe that what happened on October 7th is a uniquely dark form of evil on a whole other level, in every way, shape, or form of evil than anything that is happening in Gaza. Do you agree with my statement or disagree? I don't need explanations. Do you agree with me or disagree?
I have said to you 1,000 times, I feel like what you are asking me to do right now, I'm looking at the cost of life. This is how I analyze things.
You can't agree. You're not going to agree with me.
I am uncomfortable with the amount of innocent life that is lost.
This is like you're in a courtroom. Prosecution is asking a very specific, loaded question. It tries to steer you into a certain way, into a certain area. And no matter how you answer the question, it's going to infer other things. If she says she agrees, it infers that she weighs Jewish lives over Palestinian lives. Right? And no matter what their response was, it was all justified. And that they're just using human children shields. If she says she disagrees, then she's saying she doesn't believe that the Jewish people that died that day matter, which is the other side of that. Those type of questions, they're loaded. They don't mean anything. When someone asks you a loaded question to get a specific, to steer you in a certain direction, you have to push back. And what she's doing, which is fine, she's refusing to answer the question, but she did say people dying, civilians, is an evil act, no matter what side. And that's the correct response.
Right now in Gaza.
So you're not going to agree with me. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on because there's other stuff. Because there's another piece in that article.
Because part of it feels like you want me to weigh, like, is Jewish innocent life worth more than Palestinian innocent life? And I'm not comfortable with that.
You made that clear that you don't view it the same, or you'd be able to say that what happened on October 7th.
I view innocent life.
So there you go. He just confirmed what she said. You want me to make a statement that Jewish lives weigh more than Palestinian, and he said, no, you already don't agree with me on that. So that's what he's saying. He's pretty much saying that. This is a talking head on the TV. I'm assuming he has a platform. I assume he has followers. He's a rabbi. He's of the Jewish faith. And this is the language. These are the people in charge of shit in this world. People who think like this. Me, us versus them. If you kick me in my knee, I'm going to blow up your fucking house. And it's justified. These are the type of psychotic people in charge without passion for nobody but themselves and people like them or people of their group. Sad day.
It's innocent life.
Sad
like I'm
stuff.
saying, it's just innocent life lost.
Candace, you've made it clear you weren't able to answer yes to that question. Fine.
It's eye-opening, right? And I've said before, you see me on Figuring Conspiracy Shit Out. We talked about this months ago. War is war, evil is evil, death is death. It's just sad when you have grown, seemingly intelligent people on this planet without compassion for human life. War is crazy. War is unnecessary. It's just one of those things no nation needs to be doing. And when it happens, it shouldn't be justified with division. This guy, he's just pushing out division. He obviously has no passion for anybody in Palestine. The children, the babies, the adults, the women, the children. He's made his case very clear. I have not seen the whole interview. I'm going to watch it though. But again, it's just eye-opening to watch. And to think that he actually made a point there, right? You got to understand that entire line of questioning and him really trying to fish to get her to answer that specific way. And then at the end where he said, okay, you don't agree with me that this was such a uniquely evil thing. To him, that's a win. That Candace didn't agree with him. So he can run back to his puppeteers, his puppet masters, and everybody that's behind him and all his followers and say, look, she didn't say this. So therefore, she's the enemy. She's an anti-Semite, whatever the case have you. Whatever his purpose for going on that show was, he could run back to his people and say, I got her. And he thinks that's a win. And it's not a fucking win. I'm sorry. You go up there, you act like a teenager, arguing with your parents about going out late with your friends and coming home late or doing stupid, silly things. And you act like you won and you're using childhood tactics in arguments. And you act like you don't know what the word genocide means and how to define words because you don't use it in your language. You are a grown-ass fucking man and you sound like using a fucking high school debate team. That's today's video. I'm a little frustrated with that. I'm not really frustrated, but it's content. I ain't frustrated. This shit don't bother me. I'm gonna be honest, this shit don't bother me. I've so beyond the point of watching stuff like this and actually getting really ticked off to where it affects me. 5-6 years ago, I would be really ticked. I'd probably be ticked for the whole day. But this is fun. This is another video. Don't let this get to your head. Just see the people that's out there. See what they're doing. See the evil that exists in this world. See the mind games that they do, that they use with words and semantics. You know what I'm saying? See it for what it is. Don't let it infiltrate you, right? Have your own mind, think for yourself. That's the message of the day. I'll see you tomorrow. We out.